Hi, everyone. Welcome to Abnormal Psychology, the summer session. My name is Bobby Bowie, and I'm going to be your instructor for the course. A couple of you I know from courses in this prior year, but most of you are new to me, so I'll spend just a couple minutes introducing myself to you. I just finished my second year at New Paltz. I'm a full-time lecturer. I'm also the assistant chair. So I do a lot of advisement in addition to teaching. Although I've only been in New Paltz for 2 years, I've been teaching for over 15 years full time, and during that span, also working part time as a clinician. My PhD was in clinical child psychology, but these days I work, in addition to children work, I work with adolescents, adults. I do couples therapy, family counseling, as well as psychological testing. And in this past year, learning more about neuropsychological testing. But I'll talk more about my clinical work, work with patients as we go through the course this next 6 weeks. Okay. But I was an undergraduate major in psychology at the University of California. And initially I was pre-med. I thought I was going to become a physician. And I took intro to psych, which led me to take more psychology courses. And I just really became passionate about the field. And it changed the trajectory of my career, obviously my professional career and my studies. I'm curious to find out what your trajectory is, how you found your way into psychology, if it's a major or a minor for you. Where do I live now? I live in two places. I live about 25 minutes north of the campus in the town of Woodstock. And I love it here. It's just, there's a lot of calm, there's nature, fresh air, space for me and my dogs. I also reside part-time in Manhattan, and so I split my time between these two places. But in the last year, I spent more of my time up here in Woodstock, getting my house together, but also maintaining it. Doing a lot of gardening and stuff like that. What are my hobbies? I do read a lot. I read a lot in the field in areas of psychotherapy, psychoanalysis, but also I read a lot in other areas, and I read a lot of fiction as well as nonfiction. If you look at my nightstand, there's at least probably 7 books on there right now. That's my nightstand here, and my nightstand in my home in the city. Probably a couple of books there as well. I mentioned my dogs. I spend a lot of time with them. They are pure joy. I can have the hardest day, and I come home and just playing with them and seeing them and being with them just resets me, re-energizes me, and I'm sure they will make their presence in one of the videos through the course of the next 6 weeks. If you have pets, feel free to introduce them to the class as well. I like eating, but specifically I like eating sweets. I like cake, I like cookies. I do a lot of baking. And to balance that out, because I'm in my 40s and I can't really be eating that much sugar and butter, I do run, I go jogging, and that kind of resets and balances me as well. I did that earlier today, and it also reduces the guilt when I'm eating that extra cookie at midnight. What else? Film and television. I would say I watch more television than going to movies these days. There's just so much good shows on television. Right now I'm watching the final season of The Americans, and I really like that. It's a show on FX about Russian spies in the 80s. I'm also watching season 2 of Westworld on HBO, and I think it's a really creative show. Although it's science fiction, I think the issues that the themes apply to a lot to what we as a country are struggling with now. So it's I think it's a really well written show and full of meaning and extremely engaging. I recommend it. I'm a big Game of Thrones fan. I can't wait till the 8th and final season is out. I know it'll be bittersweet to watch each episode knowing it's the last season. So feel free when you're making your video to give me suggestions of what shows I should be watching. If you convince me and pose a good argument, I'll definitely watch at least the pilot of the show that you suggest. But I like a lot of shows on HBO. I watch a lot of shows on Netflix as well. I think The Killing is another show I like, and that was on Netflix, I think. Love that show. Yes, I'm going to stop here about my introduction, but let's talk a little bit about the course. So it's a 6-week course that has to include all the material that I would present in a traditional 15-week course. So it's intense, but I can't water down the course because you get the same credits as a student taking it in the 15 week regular semester schedule. Okay. But what I can tell you is the course is going to be interesting. I mean, it's a course on psychological and psychiatric disorders. It's what, when people sign up for intro psych, they think they're going to get. But this is the course. This is a disorders course. And there's several texts that are a couple texts that are required, actually. So there is the textbook, Abnormal Psychology by Beidel, Bullock, and Stanley. And I chose the 3rd edition because, first, it's much more affordable than the 4th edition. I would say by $80 or more, depending on what site you're on. And I didn't feel like the 4th edition had so many changes that it was worth you spending that additional amount of money. So if you like saving money, make sure you put that in your course evaluation at the end. I think you can get this textbook online for under $20. That's what last time I checked, I was able to find it for that amount. The other text that is required that you need to purchase is the Psychopath Test by Jon Ronson. And this text is also very affordable. I don't think it's more than $10 on the different online online booksellers. And Jon Ronson is a journalist, and he kind of just fell into looking at the psychiatric industry. So it reads like a narrative. It's really interesting. You do learn about the Psychopath Test, but you learn a lot more. You'll learn about the history of mental health in Western Europe and the United States, which at times is quite disturbing. But if you're reading this book, just make sure a lot of people are seeing you read this. People kind of freak out. Like, I remember just reading this on the New York City subway, and people were just looking at me like, oh, that's a pretty interesting book. And some people actually asked me about it. But how often do you get to read a book with the title, The Psychopath Test, right? Oops, there. Sometimes the video goes out. But again, engaging text. And then if you look on the syllabus, you'll see that there are supplementary readings, which I provide to you on Blackboard. But if you look at all the readings that you have to do from both texts and what is listed in the course syllabus, it's a reading intensive course, especially for 6 weeks. So you have to plan accordingly. Read the material. It's engaging. You'll learn a lot. You're going to do well on the quizzes and discussion board if you read the material and understand it. For the textbook, I kind of give you some guidance because if you go through the PowerPoint slides, you'll see through the PowerPoints what I'm focusing on. especially for the quizzes. If you know what's on the PowerPoints, students who've had me in classes, if you know my PowerPoints, you generally do well on the quizzes. The PowerPoints do contain audio of me talking, so not all the slides, but many of them. So just click on the audio icon in the center and you'll hear me kind of discuss the slides. If you don't find that my discussion is helpful, you can just ignore it. But some people like hearing rather than, and also listening and reading the text at the same time. I also throw in my kind of 2 cents on things. So let me know what you think, okay? What else? So your grade is based on quizzes, which are given every week, discussion boards, which are also given every week, and then you have a paper at the end of the class, during the last week of class, and I'll talk more about that. It's not a research paper, so don't panic. It's more of a critical reflection paper of what you've learned in the class and how do you apply it. Students generally do well on their papers, and it usually raises their grade. Yeah, so that's what your grade's going to be based on. Students who had me before will tell you that I'm extremely fair. There's no trick questions. I do give extra credit assignments, okay? But what you should know about the quizzes before heading into it is that they're timed. So even though you can use open book and you can leave the PowerPoints open and have that available, you won't have time to look up the answers, maybe for 1 or 2 questions, but not for all of them. So you do have to know the material well enough to answer the questions, because if the time runs out before you finish the quiz, that the questions that you aren't able to answer are marked as incorrect, okay? For those of you who qualify for extended time, through the Disability Resource Center, you should contact them so that they can contact me, so you can be given the accommodations that you are entitled to. That's very important to do soon if that is something you qualify for. Okay, and I definitely will work with you on how to get the accommodations that you need. Okay. How to do well in an online class if you never taken one before. A lot of it is planning, setting out time and planning when you're going to learn the material. Although I provide you with audio slides, you don't get a live professor, so you're reading and kind of teaching the material to yourself. I'm always available for questions through email, so or even Skype sessions, so we can set up appointments for that. But so if you're the type of person who takes initiative to learn on your own, you're going to do well on the online course, on any online course, okay? What else? The schedule is pretty consistent from week to week. The quizzes and discussion boards are posted on the same day each week, and they're due on the same day each week. So our week starts on a Wednesday, and it ends on a Tuesday. And you'll see I always post deadlines, and so that you'll know each week when things appear and when things are due. Okay? So your first assignment is to create a video like this, not as long, but hopefully more interesting and maybe even more techie than mine. Mine's just me sitting in my dining room. Introducing yourself to me and your classmates. I think online courses without videos can sometimes feel very isolating, and you don't even know who's in the course with you. So if you go to the discussion board, click on that icon, you'll see a series of questions that you have to answer in your video. So first of all, you have to be able to create a video. I'm using my webcam on my laptop to do this. Movie Maker is the program, but there's different programs. You can make videos through your tablet and smartphone if you have one. and that way you can also upload the videos, or if you have a YouTube page, upload it to there and give us the link. But for some of you, this is maybe your first time doing this. Don't be self-conscious. I know it's sometimes hard to create videos, but I'm not looking for you to be like Meryl Streep Oscar performance. I just want to kind of learn more about you, see how you present orally, especially when we get to content. For the discussion boards, you'll have options sometimes to present yourself, your response through video or through written text. And sometimes I'll require you to do either or, okay? But it's good to be able to present not just through written text, but through or oral speech, okay? So what else? Yes, so if you're having a hard time creating the video for any reason, please get in contact with me ASAP. Here's the first extra credit, okay? So the video is due Saturday, this Saturday at 8, it's the 26th at 8 p.m. But those of you who submit the video by Friday, the 25th at 8 p.m., you're going to earn 10 percentage points towards your first quiz, right? So that's an easy 10% you're going to gain just by submitting your video one day early, okay? For those of you who are taking an online course for the first time, and if you're having trouble navigating Blackboard, creating videos, understanding what to do and where to look for things, please get in contact with me ASAP. I respond to email pretty quickly. I checked it several times a day. We can set, like I said, we can set up Skype appointments or FaceTime appointments where you can be in front of your computer and I can be in front of mine, and we can just troubleshoot. But I don't want anyone to be overwhelmed. If I, a person in my 40s, can work this technology, I'm sure many of you are much more tech savvy than me. You can learn pretty quickly how to do that, okay? But I'm just gonna finish here. I just wanna let you know I wanna make this an enjoyable experience for you. I want you to be able to learn a lot and not feel like this is punishment, having to take a summer course, because it really is a fascinating topic, and students who've taken it before have found it to be extremely engaging. Okay, so I'm going to say goodbye for now, and I look forward to seeing your videos and learning more about you. Bye.